We have wonderful four speakers today. 본격적으로 이제 시작하겠습니다. And we have still same basic rule that every speaker will make a 15 minutes presentation. Our first speaker of today is Professor Sung-Kyung. She is the professor of the University of North Korean Studies in Seoul, Korea. She has published many articles in diverse journals and one of the most experts on the theme. She will deliver the speech on North Korea society at a crossroad, change and continuity in a Kim Jong-un era. 박수로 맞아주시기 바랍니다.
Okay, thank you so much. And I prepared my presentation in English, so I will do the, sorry about all the Korean audiences in here. Today, I'm going to just bring into some of the features of North Korean society. I mean, we've been talking about international relations and how to build peace in yesterday, but I think it is time to get to know about what's really going on in North Korean society. So the title of my presentation is North Korean Society at a Crossroad and Change and Continuity in the Kim Jong-un Era. So it's basically what I want to say that is the current change of North Korean society is somewhat kind of linked to the different strategies of Kim Jong-un tried to deliver to the people. And that different strategies perhaps is very well related the current changes of North Korean society. Especially I'm really interested in the impact of marketization in North Korean society. So let me start with, it's not working. Can you just, okay, next slide. Is it working? No? Okay. Let me start with the just basic concept. I mean, I'm interested in the emotion and affect and politics. And as we know, that is the recent political trend in many countries have sparked an interest in the relationship between emotions and politics. And the politics is manipulating a certain feelings and hatred and also joy and happiness. And so it's like using the emotion to govern nation and using the emotion to control the people. Not only just my argument is there are lots of people is looking at this affective side of the politics and it's become more and more noticeable. And my argument is that North Korean regime and perhaps the containing very much the populistic features and operationalize the emotions such as fears, anger, joy, and sadness in very effective way. And I believe that this North Korean reader have very, so keen to construct in their own way of presenting the strong identification with the people. The next point I just want to make it that is kind of interestingly, I've done some of the research with the North Korean defector in South Korea, and I've been doing this interview for last 10 years, and they all have a very good image of the Kim Il-sung. But this Kim Jong-il is such a sort of the time of despair, and it's almost hopeless and painful, and perhaps it's because of his very brutal operation of the military first policy, and then the Kim Jong-il actually gained the power just after the economic famine in 1994. So it might be reflect a certain image of the leader. But because of the arduous march during the 2000, there has been a huge sort of widespread of market in North Korean society, and it's almost like mushroomed in the market in everywhere. It's not only just number of the market issues, but this market and market system has become very much embedded in the people's mindset and also everyday lives. And we all know that the Hazel Smith argued that it's from 2010, the North Korea has gone through the process of the marketization without the liberalization. So in this crucial moment, the new and young figure of Kim Jong-un became the leader of the DPRK, and many North Koreans held very high expectation of this new leader. anticipating that he would put into the very effective economic reform. And this genuine hope is perhaps closely related to the leader's personal background, such as like he's very young and Western educated, and he supposed to be has a very strong desire for winning. But the rest of the world has a doubt, right? Because he's just too young, inexperienced, unqualified. But what he did, just after gaining his power, he launched the very massive scale of the construction project. And we all know that it's a Yeomyeong Street construction project. And he just managed in the 13 months to complete in the whole street to the newly built and the modern buildings and the new facility, the leisure facilities, and so on and so forth. And also, he managed to put in so many different kind of cultural aspects in his power. Like, for example, the Raisho mark in the 25th anniversary of the ruling Labour Party happened in the 2021 and 2020. And these are kind of completely new phenomenon for the North Korean society because they all have just military march and it's a very sort of strict control. But, Kim Jong-un is kind of opened the space for the North Korean people to express and their consumeristic aspirations and their cultural aspirations as well. And even Kim Jong-un has launched a new ideology called the civilization's prosperous country ideologies. So civilized socialist nation. So, this is a time in North Korea. It's not just behind the rest of the world. And we're going to make the civilization, we're going to make in the same level of the lifestyle as any other country in the world. And I think they really respond to North Korea's expectations. I think he went to the Hwanghae-do in 2020, just after the pandemic. He went to there and showing that, to the people that is, I do care about you. And because in those people just suffer from the very heavy floods, so they lost their house and they lost their crops. So he went there, he drove by himself, like, almost constructing this image of the very young and passionate and very have a kind of the ability to deal with the issues. And in Nodong Shinmun in May 21st in 2021, he launched this ideology of the spirits of love for the people and 위민 헌신, and also 애민 정신 as well in Korean. So why is that? I know that he managed to make it lots of sort of military sort of exercise and launch the missile and the nuclear test, but at the same time, he do care about the society, care about the social bits and cultural bits. So we all know that this North Korean society being really changed and also is now even changing. The market, the number of market. In official data in 2018 is at least 436 market in nationwide, but in the 2019 is estimated to reach the 900 market in the nationwide. So the market is everywhere, and the people rely on their everyday life in the market. But in the 2000 in around that area, just after the economic famine, the market is remained as a very basic level. You just go there to bring whatever you have and just exchange with the food or monies and very basic level. But from 2010, as I mentioned, I would say that they reached the second stage of the marketizations. And now the market is everywhere, and then it's also combined with the political power. We call it as the patronage economy. I mean, you could find a lot in the traditional economy in other places in the world. So it's almost that the middle class bourgeoisies, they have this very close link and very closely kind of cooperations with the North Korean politicians and North Korean, the people from the WPK, so that they make the money and also they operate the industries. So I think one of the good example is the construction site. Samjiyeon City Construction Project is one of the good example because in Kim Jong-un announced a couple of names of Donju in Nodong Shinmun. and appreciating their effort. So it's showing that Donju became a part of official construction projects. So Donju bring in some of the like a big like a cement or glasses or money, and they contribute to some of the huge amount of the construction project, and then later they make money and they make the profit. So now the North Korean economy has become very hybridized form of economy between the socialist planned economy and market-oriented one. Of course, the way of life is being changed as well. We know that this is the mobile phone, although it's very restricted. I mean, internet is not allowed in North Korea, but they do have an intranet. They share the informations, and if we calculate the mobile phone in the borderland between the China and North Korea, the number of mobile phone users is even gone up, and it's really part of their economic activities and their everyday lives. And also high level of mobilities with the increased use of diverse form of the transport. I'm just going, and also the stretch of the informations and financial network, because the people using mobile phone to transfer and wiring money to the other part of the North Korea. And this consumeristic desire and market-minded behavior, and people want to have the better product. They want to enjoy the leisure life, and they want to spend like $100 in every evening to enjoy their, the night out. And this kind of culture is now become part of this middle class in their everyday life and culture. So I think it's a whole this situation really pressurized in Kim Jong-un regime to introduce more liberal policies. And also, I suspect that the reason why the Kim Jong-un became, this talk with the U.S. and even the Moon administration in the 2018 is this internal pressure. We don't really talk about this internal pressure within this domestic pressure, but my argument is we have to look at this domestic pressure. Then this marketization, there are two main agencies. The first one is, of course, women, because women is the only group is allowed to work in the market. And then, of course, youth. And youth has very rebellious attitude and different kind of way of thinking. And also they brought up from the market. And but because of the pandemic, and then the pandemic happened just after the Hanoi No Deal, so I'm afraid this Kim Jong-un is kind of going back to the old way of controlling in North Korean society. For example, in 2020, in August, the regime introduced a new emergency quarantine law, and that kind of law is so good at controlling the domestic people. And also the December 2020, the regime enacted the law on rejecting the reactionary ideology and culture in order to prevent the capitalist behavior and thought among the people. So the pandemic could be taken as a state of exceptions, whereby the political power militarized in society in the name of epidemic preventions. Agamben argued in the earlier stage of the pandemic. And after the Hanoi No Deal, for Kim Jong-un's understanding and Kim Jong-un's regime, it's such a good opportunity to recover, his authorities and his controlling the society. So it's the COVID-19 pandemic for the North Korean society and people is as a kind of state of exceptions. And there were a couple of major events happened in the 2021, and it held the Labour Party Socialist Youth League Congress in 26th in April, and the Socialist Women's Union of the Korea Congress in the 21st and 22nd June 2021. So, this is like a mass mobilization is coming back. And especially, this Women's Union Congress, it was really painful to see that it's like this whole women's issue is going back to the past. He's really asking those Korean women to give a more child and also, educate the younger generation with a more stronger Juche ideologies and socialist ideologies. So the possible path in the post-COVID era, and of course, the economic situation getting worse and worse, but now it's kind of sustaining, according to the expert in North Korean economy. And the border is repeatedly closed and open. I just read in newspaper article that is they open again, getting some sort of, the product from the China. But it is also directly impacted to the smuggling business as well as the market activities. But still, lots of huge production, huge construction project is going on. So it's more labor burden, labor work for the adult and even women and the youth. They were really forced to be part of huge production, huge construction project. I don't have much time, so I can't really go in depth in every single point, but I just want to move to my final point. I start with the emotions, right? I start with the emotions. And I'm so interested, so how come is Kim Jong-un, showed in his very kind of weak kind of characteristics to the people? I think that this very legendary speech happened in the 2020, the 75th anniversary of the ruling Workers' Party. He gave this uncharacteristic speech, which he apologized the current hardship facing the North Korean, and even cry and shed the tears. So it's really facilitating kind of emotion to the people. And then, showing the people that is really to care, but he can't really control, because now he's saying that we are suffer from the triple disaster, sanctions, pandemic, and the flood and lots of natural disasters. So it's like really showing this human kind of aspects of his face to the people, so that really bind the North Korean people as a one communities. And then the 2020, I think he's doing exactly the same thing. The Kim Jong-un photo just after the 8th Party Congress in January in the 2020. And because of that incident, actually the pandemic spread in North Korea, officially said. So, this type of kind of photo, this image is so new, you can't really find it during the Kim Jong-il time, because the soldier is really holding Kim Jong-un's arm, and they are almost like sitting side by side and really almost embracing one another. So this is the image he tried to bring in. And also the later, in even Kim Jong-un's wife in research is crying, and people are all crying. So my argument is, the Kim Jong-un is now having a lot of trouble. So he's facilitating a certain emotion in order to grip the control over the people. And so it's almost constructing this, the huge community of fears and huge community of the sadness. And you can perhaps imagine this kind of military parade, like people are all crying. And they are having this very kind of common feelings. This effect is really impacting to the other peoples, and it has a certain meaning and power. So we need to look at what's really going on, within the North Korean society, and what kind of emotions and feelings and sentiment they are sharing in this particular moment, a very difficult time for the North Korean regime. Okay, I'll finish my presentation here. Thank you so much.